بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hello, third grade student. I'm Prof. Alaء Al-Charrakh. I'm going to talk about gram-positive spore-forming bacilli. Gram-positive rods are classified into two groups depending on spore formation and growth on aerobic and anaerobic conditions. I am going to talk about Bacillus species, which is aerobic and spore former. Genus Bacillus, there are 48 species included in this genus with the following characteristics. Gram-positive bacilli, spore former, and aerobic, and some species are facultative anaerobic. The most important pathogen in this genus are Bacillus anthracis, the agent of anthrax, and Bacillus cereus, which cause food poisoning. Bacillus anthracis, as I said before, it's a large gram-positive bacilli, spore former. In gram stain, we can find that this species produce a large and long chain with spore in central position. The bacteria can get in zoonotic source from sheep, cattle, and goats, and from fur and hides. الهايدز اللي جلد الحيوانات, especially in workers in the textile workers, and from soil contaminated with spores. The various factors of this bacteria are capsule formation, spore formation, and exotoxin اللي هو الانثراكس toxin, which cause necrosis and edema. This bacteria produce a characteristic feature of colonies on blood agar, produced as called medusa head appearance colony. A medusa head is a mythical creature or being from Greek civilizations, like in this in this figure. Specimen collection and laboratory diagnosis of Bacillus anthracis. There is always a caution. Lab safety is very important when cooking with materials specifically containing Bacillus anthracis. There are three clinical forms of Bacillus anthracis: cutaneous, pulmonary, and enteric. So the samples collected depending on the site affected: swab from cutaneous lesions, sputum from pulmonary anthrax, and gastric aspirates or feces from enteric anthrax. Also, as I said before, gram stain show large gram-positive bacilli with spore and with a bamboo-like appearance. البامبو حقيقة هي شجرة الخيزران. Bamboo-like appearance, as in this figure, like a bamboo, long chain bacilli with a bamboo-like appearance. This is a bamboo tree. So the bacilli show a long chain on gram stain, would give the appearance of bamboo tree appearance. The pathology. There are three clinical forms of anthrax: cutaneous, enteric, and pulmonary. The cutaneous anthrax included 95 to 98% of anthrax cases, which occurred through wounds, burns, which may lead to toxemia. The site of entry produce a painless blister called malignant pustules, which is the name of the disease of malignant anthrax. That second clinical form of anthrax it's an enteric or intestinal anthrax caused by ingestion of infected meat from animal. This disease it's also fatal. The third clinical form is the pulmonary anthrax. It's caused by inhalation of a large number of anthrax spores. It's usually fatal. This clinical form is also called wall sorter disease اللي هو العاملين في جزل الصوف الصابين أو المزارعين. Look to these pictures. Wall sorter disease. Bacillus anthracis, the toxin production, the toxin produced in Bacillus anthracis when protective antigen combines to edema factor and lethal factor. Edema factor cause the edema, and lethal factor kills the cells and the tissue. This is the type clinical form number 1, cutaneous anthrax or malignant pustule. As we said before, exposure depending on the type of clinical form, inhalation in pulmonary, inoculation in cutaneous, and ingestion of meat in enteric anthrax. This is the cycle of anthrax, just for knowledge. This is the pathogenicity of Bacillus anthrax. As I said before, the Bacillus anthrax produce the toxin which causes anthrax when a protective antigen is combined to edema factor which causes the fluid accumulation and edema, and lethal factor to cause cell death and tissue. This is the pathology of anthrax in details. So there is the edema factor, what is protective antigen, which cause the activation of adenyl cyclase system, which cause edema. This is how the lethal factor result in fatal spread of anthrax. Lethal factor, as we said before, cause the kill cells and tissue. Praise to God, this bacteria is very sensitive to the simplest antibiotic. It's penicillin. For patients who are sensitive to penicillin, they can take tetracycline, erythromycin, chlorpheniramine, and streptomycin. Prevention by toxoid vaccine, proper disposal, chemical disinfection, and burn carcasses. carcasses هي جثث الحيوانات اللي ممكن تخلص منها حرقها أو طمرها في أعماق بعيدة من التربة. As you know, Bacillus anthracis has long been considered a potential biological warfare agent. الحرب البيولوجية ممكن استخدام maybe a dramatic threat to the people even in developed countries. The second species of Bacillus is Bacillus cereus. Bacillus cereus causes food poisoning, especially from when we get contaminated rice, contaminated grains. Characteristics: aerobic, non-encapsulated, motile, and spore former. Liberulence spores. Enterotoxin, which cause food poisoning. Hemolysin and lecithinase. disease, food poisoning, catheter sepsis, and sometimes may cause ocular